I truly think that when teenagers get a certain age, they're going to have sex regardless if it's on TV or not.
I think the solution is probably not to have less sex on TV, but to have a more realistic depiction of it.
There's more sex than ever on television. According to a recent report from the Kaiser Family Foundation, 2/3 of the programs on television have sexual content. The average teenager watches nearly 3 hours a day. We asked these students from Wilson High School in Washington, D.C., what they think of the steady sexual diet.
I feel that often TV shows glamorize sex, and it kind of drives teenagers to experience it earlier and maybe experiment with it earlier at a younger age.
How many of you have seen Undressed on MTV? What's the message of that show? Anyone?
That show is just mainly about sex. It has no concept of real world situations or nothing. A couple of people burst in a room and all this other stuff, but they don't show like the negative side of what can actually happen once somebody has like a sexually transmitted disease or somebody gets pregnant.
The Kaiser report says it's the rare program that portrays sex with any risks or consequences. In reality, 750,000 teenagers get pregnant every year. 25% of sexually active teens are infected with diseases like gonorrhea or chlamydia. Where do kids get their information about sex, and is it adequate?
I know, like in my case, I wouldn't want to go talk to my mother about it. People aren't really, they really don't want to go to the nurse and things like that. They want to go to someone close to them who they feel knows what they're talking about.
But not your mom.
I mean, the thing is, if I was to go to my mother, she'd be like, no, and when you're 40, come to me and tell me about it.
If there is a common theme for these students, it's that they want more openness about sex, but from their parents, not television.
I think parents are depending on the school and other people to inform their kids about sexual education. There's a lot of parents who don't accept the fact that their child might be out there having sexual activities.
Do grown-ups worry too much about this?
I think parents should worry more about their own influence. I think if parents could have a more open involvement with their children about sex, then children would be less drawn to seek it out on television.
Parents should be the first to lay out the facts, at least, not so much don't do this or do this, but give children the real deal on what sex is about and what can come from it.
Is television part of the problem?
I think that parents and people who write the statistics just say, oh, let's blame it on TV, because they don't want to say, oh, it wasn't the parents' fault. Parents don't want to think that they were a failure to their children.
Television steps in only when family and friends and kind of the community has failed. I think if the community did a better job of making kids feel comfortable talking about it and knowing about it, and if it didn't make us feel like, we're wrong to have the urges and the desires we have, it's in that situation that television starts having an effect.
The message from these teenagers is that the experts should worry less about how much sex is on TV and more about how many parents are talking to their children. Kathy Slebogan, CNN, Washington.